today we're going to be working on this little tabletop fountain, and I found this sweet little flamingo, and we're going to place it in this pot for your countertops or your garden patio. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I have a planter, no holes in the bottom, and I found this planter bottom. It's plastic that fits just inside the bottom of the pot. So that'll allow me some room to put in a pump. I have a small Palaco pump that I'm going to place in the middle so that I can get some water flow. But because I want that water to come out the top, so it will give some water that will sort of flow around the pot. What I want it to look like in the end is I want it to look like it's swimming, but I need to give it some height. And I could do two things. I could either plant this up, or I can have the tube with the water flowing out. One of the things I like to do is add a little bit of tissue underneath whatever it is that I'm gluing. It kind of helps not only stabilize things, but it helps it to adhere better. But we got to make sure we keep this hole open. So if I need to put the tube through there, I can run the tube in case I do decide to make this into a fountain, that it has a way to get inside. So it's going to be sort of hanging off the edge. But with the right glue, I think we're going to be just fine. I just got to find a place where it's going to be level enough. And I think maybe somewhere in there. So we're going to stick with this towel, this little paper towel underneath there. And then we're going to glue. I kind of gobbed that glue on there pretty good. This is the super glue gel. Make sure it's on the top and the bottom. Try not to touch it. Once it sets, it's pretty solid. So you're gonna have to hold this on there for a little bit and let that gel kind of set up. Now it's not ready to go into the water, but it's set up enough where it'll stay up straight. So I cut a piece of hose, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of make sure by shoving it through that it fits and leaving it. So this is how it looks from the top, if you can see that, and I have the hose just stuck in there to make sure that it's able to go through. And I can either use this as a planter still or as a fountain. So guys, I'm gonna have to move. The bugs in the wasp in the greenhouse are just swarming, and they haven't bitten me, but it's very distracting. So we're gonna go ahead and move the whole project to this table. If you look right over there, there's Charlotte taking a nap. She's our little potbelly pig. Okay, so this isn't such a bad background. Feels a little bit better. The greenhouse is getting just too hot to be inside. So we're just going to go ahead and set things up for a little bit out here. And I have, again, my little Palaco mini pump. And I really just sort of want a circulation of water to make it appear like the swan or flamingo swan is swimming in the bowl. But I do want it to have a little bit of sound. So what I'm going to have to do is drill a hole into the plastic top. Okay, so while we're waiting for our swan to set up, we're going to just take the pump, place it inside, grab some tubing and the attachments. And this smaller one here is the one that you would put inside the pump. So this part, and you're just going to push that in. And then you can take your tube and push that into it. It's a little snug, but once you get it started, it's not a problem. You want it to be snug so it doesn't leak water. So you're going to take the pot and the pump, There's suction cups. Get that suction to the bottom. And there's a front and the back. So we're going to take it. We're going to make this the back. So we're going to bring this through. Push that down. You could notch this. I might do that. That way the wire kind of fits in nicely. It doesn't push things around. So I'm going to notch this. Just basically cutting it, and then you can just push this part down. You don't even have to cut it off, but just push it down enough to where the wire is going to fit nicely in there. So you can see now how everything's fitting in nicely, and the little notch that I just made allows for the cord to just perfectly fit in. Everything's going to be snug, and you're going to have enough weight on top of all this to hold it down, so we won't have to silicone anything. So we have all that set, and like I said, I don't think you're going to have any other adhering silicone or anything to the actual pot. I'm afraid to cut this off just yet until we kind of see how everything fits, so I'm going to leave that. I have silicone just in case we need it. Alright, so we got our little guy all ready here, and like I said, I have the option of putting this tube in because I left the space for it. So we can do a couple of things. This is actually for a client, so I want it to be able to stay intact and not move around, and that way it's a permanent fixture. So I'm going to try a little bit different approach to this top, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue some pebbles and rocks to the top, and that way everything is adhered, and if they move it, it doesn't move around and give them problems, and it's something more permanent for them. So let's go gather up some rocks. There's no lack of rocks in my yard, so we're going to go ahead and collect some, and I'm going to put them in my little top. That way I can see how many I need to cover up the top. I'm still going to leave enough room for my swan. And you can be more selective, but I'm just grabbing some that I think are going to be pretty. And then any of the open space after we go ahead and put this all together, we can just put in some gravel. So now I'm just going to take the silicone and the rocks and adhere them to the plastic pot, and then take the flamingo that's attached to the rock and also attach that with the silicone. Once that's all set, I'll put more rocks to cover. Alright guys, so y'all ready to get all this put together? Our swan is set up. Our rocks are siliconed. This has a little silicone and also some glue. Everything's really steady. So we're going to go ahead and place in our pump. And we're going to face it towards the camera so that you can see how it's going to look. And like I said before, I'm going to keep this tube out until I decide how long we want to keep it, and then we'll go ahead and give it a little snip. Alright, so we have the pumps in here. We are going to very carefully bring this over, and we're going to feed this tube through the hole that we created. Get that pulled out. Alright, and the cord is going through that little slot we made in the back. And I decided for this one, we're going to go ahead and take this Pitonia, and it's already made to be able to wick up some moisture. So all I'm going to do is, I want to set this whole pot in there, but because of the lip, it's not allowing it to drop in. So we're just going to trim off this top lip so that the whole pot will fall into the swan and keep all the dirt and everything inside of the pot. We just took that off. I am going to keep this part, this little wicking string, and I'm going to let it fall through the hole that we made. Pull that through so that it can continue to wick up any water. Alright. Give that a little push down. I want the feathers to kind of point back to kind of mimic the feathers on the ceramic. So instead of having them pointed forward, I'm going to point them to the side, and that way everything looks like it's flowing backwards. So now that we have that lip off, we can just gently push that part in, and you can't even see the black pot. Now you still have that string, the wicking string. It's still hanging down. It's all in there. So what I would like to do now is take some of these bigger rocks, and I'm just going to simply lay them along the side. It's going to keep it from shifting. And it's also going to cover up some of that plastic. And then we also have some smaller pieces that we can tuck inside of these little creases and crevices. Kind of make it look a little more natural. I'm going to cut it, but I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than I would like it, because I feel like I can cut it shorter later on, but I can't make it longer. So we're going to go ahead and snip that off. I need to fill it with some water so I can see exactly how this is going to flow, and if I need to make adjustments. And then I can just come in and take a rock and just put it on the side or something to kind of hide that ugly tube. So we're going to go ahead and start filling this up. So I think it came out really beautiful, guys. This is very much what I envisioned, and it really didn't take much time. Mostly it was just gluing things down and getting everything set up, waiting for the glue to set. But yeah, it didn't take long, and I think it's a really beautiful piece. I can't wait to get it in place and get it to the client, and I think they're going to really enjoy it for years to come. So thanks for being here. I hope you guys subscribe so you can see more of my designs, because I have a lot more in store for you. So please subscribe, and if you like the video, like it, and if you have any suggestions or comments, go ahead and post that, and let's get this conversation started. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.